Hello, this is Virgo from Divine Timing Coaching, and very excited to talk with you right now about the most transformational month of the year, potentially for all of us. It's March, and we have so many planets shifting signs. The energy is going to be changing quite a bit, and we have a full moon on the 7th. We have a new moon coming in Pisces, so a lot to talk about. And I'm excited to share with you by starting with this first week. And what we can see right away is that we are beginning, here's March 1st, we're beginning with, if you look at Mercury and Saturn are together all this week, the first week of the month. And so a lot of times with Mercury, Saturn, we can be feeling like, a lot of pressure and a lot of sort of weight around our communication. And sometimes it could be that either technology or some of our travels or some of the business relationships, there's some kind of block or a stronger amount of seriousness to it. And we need to make sure that we are crystal clear about what we're saying, what we're meaning, being in integrity, being in a high degree of character with what we're communicating. It's a great time to write if you can be writing, to really crystallize your words and be very pristine about your communication. But it can feel like some kind of block with communication. But it's also say that Mercury is asking us to reflect on actually Saturn's last 2.5 years in Aquarius. And so wherever that Aquarius house is for you, where you've been putting in the effort, the hard work, the discipline, the concentration, there's been struggle, there's been obstacles in that house for you, or any of your Aquarius planets, or even any of your fixed sign planets, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. There's going to be a lift from Saturn as he changes sign right on March 7th, which we'll talk about in a moment. But there's a really important moment here with Mercury on this Saturn to really reflect on where those struggles, challenges, and hopefully some maturity and accomplishment Saturn has been for you. Saturn's not a bad guy. He just puts a lot of weight on our shoulders wherever he is. And that's where we're going to feel a big shift. Mercury's going to go into Pisces and will be there most of the month to join the sun. But Saturn is going to go into Pisces. So let's jump into it and let's look at that full moon. Let's look at that full moon on the 7th, because this is also the day that Saturn changes sign for the next 2.5 to 3 years in Pisces. And I have another video you can check out all about Saturn and Pisces, general themes, famous charts, the kinds of energies we'll be moving through, as well as Saturn and Pisces in all 12 signs. When we can summarize this, we have, a sense of, collective destiny now, where we must put work, effort, discipline, focus, Saturn, right? Where we must lay foundations. And it has to do with our spiritual development. This is going to be a test of faith for a lot of us, what we truly believe in. And in a sense, every one of us will be asking more serious questions about consciousness, about our meaning in the universe, about our connection to the spirit world. And we should expect that a lot of us will be having more intense dream realms, more experiences with like visions or intuitive knowings. It's a great time to be, over the next couple of years, developing our intuitive capacities. And that could be through divination arts like astrology or numerology or human design. It can also be through, systems, archetypal systems of knowledge. It could be like IFS, internal family systems. It could be doing family constellation work. But where there's more channeling happening, more psychic energies, this is what's really going to be developed in us. And those of us who are, focused on these areas are going to possibly experience more success, but through a lot of duty and responsibility that we say yes to. I want to be accountable for these new Saturnian, pressures in my life. And those are going to be felt most, again, in your Pisces house. Whatever that might be, that area of life where Pisces is for you will feel the kind of pressure and determination and resilience of Saturn. Initially, it's going to be, some challenges. We always can feel that, especially the first couple months. So, these next couple months, that Pisces house will feel like pretty rocked by Saturn, but it will mature over the next couple years. And if you can think 2.5 years out, or by the beginning of 2026, what would I have liked to have accomplished in this area of my life? Or even with the planets that Saturn's going to touch, which would be any, especially the planets that are, in a challenging aspect, which would be a square or an opposition or even a conjunction from Saturn. So that would be all the mutable signs. So do you have planets in Gemini or Sagittarius or Virgo or Pisces? Well, these are going to get a test, right? These are going to get a stern demand from Saturn to really step up and upgrade, work hard, put the effort in, and think like, what would I like in those areas of my life or those planets 2.5 years from now, and making the steps right now to move in that direction. So again, we have a bigger journey with that in another video. It's interesting that this is happening on the day of the full moons, right? So we get that really intense shift of Saturn during this full moon. Full moon is in Virgo. So always a full moon in Virgo is a time where, fulfillment, fruition, these are full moon themes, what's coming to completion, right, in the area of Virgo in your chart. So the opposite of where that Pisces transit is happening. There's going to be a sense of hopefully some growth that's happened there. I mean, full moons can always, be more polarizing internally. I mean, we have more emotional energies, but this is actually emotions around Virgo themes. Daily practices, devotion, spiritual disciplines, also hard work, but more about the rhythms that I'm in, the daily regimes. Are they healthy for me? Am I eating well? Am I exercising, right? Do I have a regular schedule? And a lot of times that gets really thrown out the door during Pisces season. We get swept by the tides, the sun is in Pisces, Mercury is now in Pisces, Saturn, as we said. So, and you could see that the sun is approaching Neptune here. And so we'll get, always at least a 10-day transit of that. And that emphasizes the Piscean themes of being kind of washed into wherever we are. We're very empathic. We're very sponge-like. And this is what we start to see as the month unfolds, is it gets a lot more murky, a lot more slippery in the middle part of the month. So full moon in Virgo, very important time for us to get into the details of what we're doing, to get committed to that, and to stay the course, right? And get into that healthy regime, because we're going to get swept, we're going to get pulled, undulating tides are going to be taking us in many directions potentially during the middle of the month. There's a number of reasons for that. And we already start to feel it at the full moon because Mars, still in Gemini. And for a lot of us, this has been a difficult 8 months, right? With Mars, he's going to change signs. He's going to change signs very soon. Actually, this month, we'll see that. But look at this Mars square to Neptune, okay, during the full moon. And it increases. So if we move the chart forward, let's get to a week out. Let's get to March 14th. And let's look at what's happening here. You can see this is when we have this very strong conjunction coming in of Mercury, the Sun, and Neptune, Mars squaring all of them. And this is where we look at basically around March 12th, let's say, to about the 20th. This is pretty tense because Mars is squaring Mercury, the mind, the expression, the communication. Right? This can always make us defensive or irritable. Maybe we need to look at the possibility here, the strong possibility, right? Mercury's in Pisces and with Neptune in this square to Mars. There's no clarity with this. Mercury, first of all, is in the sign of Pisces when he's in what we call his detriment. He rules Virgo. So the opposite sign is Pisces. And why is Mercury in his detriment? It's basically like he has to think a completely different way. And it's not bad or good. It's just a very roundabout, circular type of way. It's like you're on the boat, you're in the middle of the sea, and everything is like, maybe you're going on a journey with like a bunch of people, like on a whale watching expedition, right? And it's super exciting, right? And you're all in this together, and you're looking for the whale, and then like the helicopter's overhead. I've done this in Mexico, and it's telling you, oh, over here's the whale, and now you're going over there. But then this fog starts to come in, and the boat gets confused, and everyone's confused, and someone's like, well, let's just have a drink and we'll wait it out, right? And everyone starts drinking, and then it gets a little bit crazy on the boat, and then it starts raining, and you're like, what are we doing? Can we find the whales? I hear a sound. Whoa, it's very like, all of a sudden we're in all of these different worlds. Everything's confused. I thought we were going to go find this whale. There was clear skies, and nothing is clear anymore. And so we can have fun, we can have a party, but we have to be very careful, because the boundaries are very dissolved here. On one level, the boundaries are dissolved through our words, meaning we're not speaking clearly. We're not tuning our language very precisely. And so we might think we're saying something and it's clear, but somebody else is receiving a very different message, right? This can create that Mars square, that irritation, defensiveness, conflict, aggressive types of words. And so we have to then sometimes backtrack or get kind of like, this is where I say it gets kind of messy, because we want to be very careful here to not speak out of turn or speak too rashly or, too quickly, because we could get ourselves into some trouble here, these murky waters. Also, because right at this time is when the sun is conjunct Neptune, and this can be, again, very disorienting for our sense of personal identity. We're not sure where we're going. Mars is squaring Neptune. Our direction is, again, it's like this. It's spiral, it's circular. The sun conjunct Neptune, there's a sense that we feel a kind of calling during this time. And this is the way we want to start to approach the middle of the month, which is, it's funny this is all happening right during St. Patrick's Day on the 17th too, like pretty close there, right? And we know that drunkenness is a part of that. But it's, it's like, can we be drunk on the divine, Neptune? Can we get intoxicated on spiritual practice or our artistic life? So this is a time where we can channel our imagination in a big way. Beautiful time to be making videos, doing art, dance, being in ceremony with the community, shamanic types of works, again, ceremony of any kind, ritual practices, actually, magical practices, astrological magic, because the veil is so thin with Mercury, Neptune, Sun, Neptune, Mars, Neptune. We want to connect to the spirit world during this time. We want to have a sacred ceremony, that could be through our breath. It could be through a plant medicine. It could be through conscious dream work, active imagination, some of Carl Jung's work. It can be through also reading really inspiring spiritual texts or mythology, working on the mythical layer of your chart. I do a lot of work with asteroids with clients, or the fixed stars, which are very mythical in their nature. Beautiful cycle to tap in to how you are woven into this larger mythical framework. Because Neptune, again, dissolves the egoic self of the sun, but connects us to the archetypal planes, right? Plato talked a lot about this, right? The Platonic realms of the archetypes of beauty, capital B, right? And this is a time where a lot of beauty can actually channel through us, through our creative processes. So we want to use that Mars energy here to motivate us to again, the deeper meditation practices, the mantra practices, the the ecstatic dance, right? Now I'm offering a course that is going to start right after the full moon. It's on the 9th, and it's all about practices and teachings of non-duality. The non-duality is a very Neptunian and Sun Neptune, Mercury Neptune kind of idea, where we are learning that we are not a separate self. And this is the teaching from all of the mystics. And this training is called Path of the Mystic. So we're actually going to do a lot of writing exercises, spiritual journaling, as well as some dance, some breath work, some embodiment practices, obviously meditation as well, to be with the teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, from Sufism, from Shaiva Tantra, and from A Course in Miracles. And I'm launching this because of, we have this transit coming up, and it's always a time of the year where we can really tap into the most spiritual unitive teachings. And yet, the ego doesn't like this, right? Because the ego has a lot of these separating desires. And whatever's happening in our life during this time, we won't be able to quite separate, right? And so we want to consciously move in the direction of merger, of melting, of oneness in the most conscious and intentional way. And so again, the teachings, the artistic practices that allow us to do that, making music, all of that, beautiful opportunity for that, and for a lot of healing work. So you could see, right, we're at the middle of the month. Look at the 4 planets in Pisces here: Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, Sun. And there may be a sense of a calling coming through you, something redemptive that you want to channel through or bring through. That's often a Sun-Neptune combination. But if you do feel more confused at this time, remember that the word confused with fusion, that we're fused to something greater than ourselves, right? And I just think that this is collectively a time where we can dream really big, and we should do a lot of dream work. We could share our dreams. We could do dream circles. Could be a beautiful time for that. And then you're seeing that as the month goes on here, we're going to move to on March 21st, this new moon that's coming right here. Sorry, I mentioned the Pisces new moon, but it's actually the Aries new moon, right? We're right here at the cusp of spring. And this is going to be the new moon right here. And Mercury is also there. So this is a big shift, because we go from all of that end of the zodiac, oceanic oneness, this vast field of collective consciousness, into that burst of new life, right? Which happens hugely as March 20th, 21st comes in. Mercury is now fiery. Our speech and our the way we express ourselves is much more to the point, and we start to get very activated. We start to get very much into like, I gotta go accomplish things and make my life happen, right? Whereas we could feel middle of the month like I'm in this sea and I feel more lost, and could be a great time. Like I said, fantasy books, poetry writing, dream work, watching movies, hopefully spiritually uplifting movies, and not getting media saturated, right? That's what we have to be careful of, that shift, because in the Pisces times, in the Neptune times, we can really check out. We can get into addiction, we can get into escapism, and it could be in very messy ways. Hopefully we'll move out of any of those tendencies once this Aries energy comes in and says, look, God helps those who help themselves. Go on an adventure, go skiing, right? If it's still winter where you are, go hike, right? And make life happen, right? There's something really, really important that shifts here as well. And we are in this is all month. Watch what's happening with Jupiter and Chiron. I'm backing up here. And you could see that the whole month, we have this incredible transit. This is my most favorite transit of the year, pretty much. And it's because Jupiter is expanding and growing and amplifying the archetype of mentorship, of coaching, of healing. And so there's incredible healing opportunities. And I think that a lot of them can come during the middle of the month when we have all that, Piscean energy, where we can actually connect with the angels. We can connect with the ascended masters. We can connect with the ancestors, right? And we can ask them to come into our healing work, our coaching work, our therapeutic work, and we can achieve incredible states of consciousness and healing across dimensions, through past lives, into the womb, and whatever was happening in that storyline, right? I've done a lot of work with breath work and rebirthing, and this would be the ideal time to be around a community of healers and mentors and coaches, to be offering your own, work in those realms, and to receive that mentorship or guidance or healing. And so it's really important that we're doing, we're stepping up into all those realms, because we have this boost from Jupiter all this month. And any kind of teaching that you're offering will tend to have this sort of like, Chiron perspective of like, here's a different way of doing this. Here's a path you might not have considered. And Chiron can be like a little Zen master. He can kind of hit you over the head, and not the head maybe, but like, well, with Aries, maybe the head. But definitely, Zen masters slap you on the back when you're not meditating in a perfect posture. Chiron can be like that, so there will be a sense that our primary wounds will come up, right? It's always the wound of separation for all of us, right? We always feel like in some way our primary wounds relate to the idea that I feel separate, and pain arises from that. Whatever area that pain is in, it will probably rise, but there will be teachers and pathways and experiences and events and ceremonies and healers to help you with that. So really tune into that this month, that wherever it's hurt, get the support that you need. And you're going to have this burst of energy with the new moon coming in March 21st. And it's going to be really supported as well, because Venus will have shifted signs by, it looks like right here. Yep, it's going to happen on the 16th. This is super nice because Venus will come into her own sign, sensual Taurus, right? She's not as fiery and reactive and combative like she is the first half of the month. Venus in Aries is feisty. She wants more independence. She's not really thinking about others in the same way. She's kind of thinking about herself, and and she can be playful. She could be more sexual in Aries. She can be more, rowdy and rambunctious and adventurous. It would be great to go, like I said, skiing, snowboarding, adventure sports. In Taurus, she's going to slow down. She's going to be more sensual, more present. Again, dance, music, the arts can be a great expression of Venus in Taurus, but that's going to be a lot more, nurturing and grounding than her kind of fiery transit in Aries. So lastly, of course, and this is something we can talk about for a very long time, and there'll be other videos about this, but look at this big shift. It's March 23rd. Pluto finally leaves Capricorn. 2008, he's been there. For the next 20 years, he's going to be moving into a sign that's suggesting for us, right, a great evolution on our planet taking place, a revolution of consciousness. And we will expect, right, that as this cycle unfolds, and maybe even this year, we start to see some hints of, with things like artificial intelligence, very Aquarian, accelerating into our collective experience, all of robotics, our relationship to communities, to tribes of affiliation, to the sense of freedom, to humanitarian efforts. These are all going to go through a huge transformation. The collective experience, especially around technology, is going to go through a huge shift. And one of the things we have to be very sensitive to this month, right? Pisces is a water sign. There's a lot of water this month. And it's really important for us to get into our emotional bodies, not to get lost there, not to get stuck, not to get, in whirlpools of dissolution, right? But to actually retain that empathic connection with each other, which is being lost every day more and more because we are so over technologized, and with social media, with how fast we're moving, with how many relationships we're woven into, a lot of what's being lost is the emotional body. And it's so important to come back to that this month, to not lose that, and to remember that we all are suffering in very similar ways. We need to support each other, right? And as we become even more technologized, as we become more, we could argue that like we are all becoming algorithms, and it doesn't feel good to be automated, to be identified through our passwords, through how much screen time it seems like we need to have. This is a very important time to be reflecting on this, and it will continue as Pluto moves through Aquarius. I hope this has been helpful, inspiring for you, that you've learned a lot about this huge cycle this month. Definitely check out the other videos on the Saturn and Pisces transit. And I really want to invite you to our course, Path of the Mystic, embodiment practices, writing practices to be with our non-dual truth, that we really are essence. And I'm so excited to share that with you. The teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, from Sufi path, from non-dual Shaiva Tantra, and from A Course in Miracles. Much love and light to you this Pisces month, March month. All the best. Namaste.